Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@usaprepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, here we go. You're dialed set correctly to USA Prepares. Thank you for being with us today. Jason's engineering the broadcast in Minnesota at Genesis Communications Network, GCN Live, LIVE.com if you'd like to listen live or search the archives. It's all there. If you'd like to call us, we'll pay for the call, 866-582-9933. If you'd like to listen on a telephone listen line that works, 712-770-9418. That's Global Stars telephone listen line. I'm Vincent Finelli. Rich Scheben's with us. Welcome, Rich Scheben.
Well, thank you, Vincent Finelli. How's everything with you this morning?
Really good. I got a call before the broadcast. I just want to share something that you and I have been talking about this, and this really hits the nail right on the head. You know, we've been talking about, do our calls go through? Do our emails go through? Well, during the summer, I called our fuel oil delivery or supply company. I know the owner, been dealing with him for 15 years. So he knows that when I call him, I'm serious about a purchase. I check the prices. If I like the price, I buy it. If I don't like the price, I wait till the price changes. And so I called him over the summer, and he said, no, the price is too high. Just wait a little bit. It's going to come down. And it did. So I waited. And I called him back, and he didn't call me back. I called him back, he didn't call me back. I called him back, didn't call me back. It's been going on for months. This morning, he called me, and he said, hey, you know, my phone died, and so he lost my phone number. When I left messages on his answering machine, it said the caller ID number was blocked. And so he was unable to call me back so he went through his filing cabinet, his records, and he found an old phone number for us and called us. But what I'm saying is, I'm thinking, where is he? He's thinking, why would I block my phone number? I didn't block our phone number. The phone companies did. So, Rich, you've been telling me for years that, hey, you know, you don't think I'm getting your messages. And yeah, I'm not. And I don't think you're getting mine. And you're not. And here's some more proof of it. It just happens to be that he told me, so, you know, I wanted to call you, but I couldn't because I didn't have your number and so forth. There you have it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Vince, technology is being used as weaponry for the plutocracy. And like you and I, if we stick up for the little guy, if we stick up for the rule of law, if we stick up for the same rules, laws, and accountability for everybody, we are going to be targeted. And whether it be email or phone or any other form of communication, we are going to not get accurate results coming or going. You know, we have a high level of lawless bureaucrats under the guise of foreign aid, kickbacks. We got corruption, racketeering, leaks, espionage, treason, sedition, fraud, malicious, nefarious use of power, partisan lies and bias, with every day an exercise in gaslighting. We have criminal, rogue intelligence agencies, sham court systems that protect the elite, and says the little guy has no group self-pity points, so we can't even hire an attorney. I see phony philanthropy. I see the powers that be protecting the banks, big tech, and Wall Street, big corporate government is now protecting itself along with big corporations, which is the definition of fascism, using censorship and surveillance to eliminate freedom, liberty, and control of the people while feeding their addictions to power, money, and control. Fraud around every corner. So the little people has no protection. We have no rights. We have no restitution under the law. Everything is a big Ponzi scheme controlled by professional pot stirrers to guarantee divide and conquer strategies. Basically eliminating the options and opportunities for the little people based on what group you're in. And it has nothing to do with proven results and qualifications anymore. So it doesn't matter what the technology is. Everything is basically to control the people and their policies, mostly through the left Democrat corruption. So this is why we're on the air. I mean, we're on the air for a lot of things. We talk about self-sufficiency. We talk about off-grid living and gardening and hunting and fishing, and we talk about a lot of things. But right now, with the election months away, and all this, and a legitimate coup against the sitting president with no evidence, we need to talk about corruption probably more than anything right now. And that's what I plan to do. It's just like the first article I'm going to mention, Vince, and you can jump in here after that. I want the country and the world to go, I believe this was on Breitbart, Pam Bondi. I think she is or was, I don't know what her title is, the Attorney General of Florida. But she laid out a case against Joe and Hunter Biden and Burisma that shows that she did it in 30 minutes, and she didn't use all these fancy politically correct buzzwords like the Democrats do. She used facts, objective facts with evidence. This whole scam with Ukraine, folks, please listen to Pam Bondi's speech at the Senate. Basically, she has proven the point that this whole scam, everything they're accusing President Trump of doing, they have already done. That's how corrupt this country is. Basically, we don't have a rule of law. We have a mafia, and the hierarchy of almost every institution in America is on the take. Vince?
Well, if you're looking for a disagreement, I can't think of one. I was thinking about, as you were saying this, Elon Musk. Elon Musk wants to put 30,000 satellites in space. 30,000 more. There's so much space junk up there that when this stuff starts coming down, it's gonna cause deaths when these satellites fall down and land on people. And he wants to put 30,000 more. He also wants to build Gigafactory 4 in Germany, and it will use 98,000 gallons of water an hour. 98,000 gallons of water an hour. That's what Elon Musk wants to do. So when you talk about corruption, how is it possible that they'll bulldoze down a forest to build a gigafactory that is interested in using that much? Their plans are to use that much water. Water is scarce. It's really scarce. I mean, there's plenty of water on the planet. It's just not potable. The oceans, you can't drink ocean water unless you desalinate it. So we've got a guy who wants to put satellites in space. So many we can't even count them. And then he wants to bore holes in the ground to go faster between point A and point B. And he wants to go between Europe and the United States faster. Faster generally means more energy. Here's an analogy. So you go down the car or down the road with your car down the highway, and you're going, let's say, 60 miles an hour, and you've got a pretty efficient car, and you're getting, let's say, 30 miles to the gallon. Let's go faster. The faster you go, the lower your fuel economy because of friction, air friction, parasitic drag. A race car, a real fast race car running a quarter mile race, a quarter of 1 mile. Top fuel dragster. Let's say it can go a quarter of a mile in just a couple seconds. That's pretty fast. It might use 10 gallons of fuel in a couple seconds, like 2 or 3 seconds. Literally. So here we've got Elon Musk wanting to go faster, and he wants more satellites. And why? Well, heck, the internet will be faster. So the generally dumb public can download their movies faster. So it is touted. But the reality is not that. The reality is more spying, more watching, more surveillance, more government oppression.
There you
and
go.
Elon Musk is at the forefront of it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Vince,
when you see those tree huggers talking about, how great the Tesla car is and how it is environmentally friendly, it's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. The electromagnetic radiation is greater. The battery bank uses rare earth metals, that are being depleted, and we have no source for replacing them. And we charge these toys with electricity that is not environmentally friendly. There's a tremendous loss. About 47% of the energy that is used to generate electricity is lost by the time you plug it in, whatever you plug in, whether it be a nightlight, a battery charger, a radio, a computer, your cell phone for a charger, or your Tesla. I think it's crazy. And Elon Musk is not the guy who comes up with all these brilliant ideas. Everything that he has done and wants to do has been done long before. Subways, late 1800s, over 120 years ago. We've had holes in the ground for moving people on the East Coast. Electric cars, 1906, over 100 years ago. Satellites, 1960s. He's not doing anything new. He's just taking the existing ideas and putting a nice twist on them so that the GDP thinks they need to have this stuff. There is no substitute, none, for diesel fuel. None. You don't see electric tractors. There's no such thing as a viable electric farm tractor. Why? Because you can't put enough energy to do the job in a battery and have it get you home. It can't be done right now. And who wants to have a car that goes 100 miles? What if your destination is 103? You just drift over to the slow lane, coast till you stop, and hope that your vehicle ends up in a place that's not going to get you killed when you get out of the door to walk the other 3 miles? This is stupidity on a grand scale. Thank you, Elon Musk, the most destructive person I can think of. Rich Scheben's with us. Rich, did you want to talk about your website and the status of it? Hey, Rich Scheben.
And it was, I got a lot of comments like, oh, Rich, I'm living vicariously through your website, your adventures, and your hunting and fishing and gardening and off-grid living. And I wish I could do that too. And I'm just telling people you can, okay? The reason why I took it down is because I feel we're at a time in history that we need to unload the hidden corruption behind the scenes so people can realize that the Democrat Party and some people, the rhinos in the Republican Party, are bought and paid for, okay? Like, for example, you talked about water, okay, and with the satellites and how much use there is. Remember years ago when I was talking about fascism, I mentioned the company Nestle. that had a $500 permit and stole 27 million gallons of water from California while the farmers couldn't use their own water in their own wells. We have a system that's so corrupt, so manipulated, that if you're in the bottom 93%, you're talking about survival, not prosperity, not thriving. So we need to uncover, we're in the last few months of which direction this country is going to go. And I just felt that millions of people have seen my website around the world, and they pretty much now know what off-grid living is and how self-sufficiency works. When I first started talking about self-sufficiency and living off-grid years ago, most people didn't even know what it meant. They thought it was a context of keeping a low profile. Well, a lot of people realize what off-grid living is now, what it entails with the battery system, making energy, and gravity feed water, and all the things that I do. And I really want people to start thinking that way, because living in a subdivision is not going to work out when the crapper hits the fan. People are going to need 20 acres or enough acres to grow a garden, to have a wood lot, to be self-sufficient, to raise animals, and get through whatever turmoil we're going to get through. So I didn't want to concentrate on my website anymore. I wanted to concentrate on ideas and solutions to the American people, for the American people. I want to continue to talk about how we're being distracted, dumbed down, and divided by groups in order to wake the people up. And Vince, you and I have talked privately about this, and publicly, many times, and we both agree, and so do many in the alternative or the new media, however you want to call us, agree that the last 6 to 9 months has been a massive wake-up. Massive. And they're waking up exponentially. So if you put it on a graph, it's like going almost straight up in the air. And that's one of the reasons I suggested for the American people to listen to Pam Bondi and how she laid out the case that all this corruption regarding Ukraine is to cover up the Biden family and Burisma. Everything somebody does in a group, and they mention it publicly, they're basically covering up and asking for less consequences for the same behavior, if not the fact that they've done it and you haven't. That's why when I talk about standing for principle, there's 3 criteria. And this is a base. The same rules, laws, and accountability, 1. Number 2 is truth. And number 3, if someone has less consequences for their behavior because of what group they come from, then you get to do it too. So, Vince, I just felt that my website has done what it's going to do, and I just want to continue to share ideas and solutions with the people. And I think the next 6 months is going to be crucial to the survival of the United States of America. And after the break, folks, I'm going to go through more articles and continue to wake up the people to the corruption that's out there.
Scheben's with us in Montana. And so, Rich, I never mentioned this to you, so I thought I'd mention it to our class as well simultaneously. We bought some birdseed years ago at the farm supply store. Why? Well, we thought it'd be a good idea to feed the birds. Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Well, the birdseed, we just received a check in the mail because we were involved in a class action suit because we bought this birdseed. And it was called Morning Song Bird Food Litigation. We got a check for about $50 because we bought this birdseed. We didn't go out and try to sue the company. It just, there was a record that we bought this bird seed from a company, and they were involved in this massive class action suit. So Who was it? Well, you know the company is Scott's. You know, Weed and Feed, those guys, for your lawn. Make your lawn great. Miracle Grow. Ortho. I'm looking at the entrance to the company, you know, the sign. It says the Scott's Miracle Grow Company. They have Ortho, the Ortho logo. So the article says that after more than 6 years of litigation, Scott's agrees to settle claims over use of its pesticides in Morning Song birdseed. The Maryland-based lawn and garden company sold Morning Song birdseed a decade ago, but was mixing a pair of pesticides in the birdseed that was not approved for such use. The pesticides proved fatal for some birds that ate the product. Scott sold some 73 million bags of tainted birdseed between 2005 and 2008. That's 3 years. 73 million bags. Scott's agreed to pay out $85 million. But they don't admit fault or guilt. If this doesn't make your blood boil, I don't know what would. So here, the Finelli family is thinking, well, you know what, we'll spend some of our really hard-earned money and feed some wild birds. And instead we poisoned them. Because we were lied to by the Scott's Miracle Grow Company. How about that? So the EPA found Scott's liable for the illegal, let me say it a different way, illegal use of chemicals. How about that? So when we tell you you can't believe anything, it's just one more example. Who would ever have thought that your birdseed would have poisonous chemicals that would kill the birds that you were thinking that'd be nice to feed? So as you look out your windows and as you say, where did those birds go? We used to have birds. We used to have birds. I think we killed some. Because we were lied to by this corrupt company, Scott's Miracle Grow. So what are we going to do from now on? Well, Scott's is crossed off our list. Miracle Grow is crossed off our list. MFA, the Missouri Farmers Association, is crossed off our list. We're crossing off companies left and right, and pretty soon there won't be anything left. Yesterday, I went to buy farm fuel, also known as diesel, untaxed diesel. Farmers are allowed to buy farm fuel for their tractors used on their farms, not over-the-road use, but on the farm use, for their diesel tractors without paying the road fuel tax. See, there's a tax for using fuel on the road. That's what pays for some of the road costs. So since farmers don't drive generally on the road with their tractors, we don't pay road fuel tax. And when we buy diesel for our trucks, it's green. It's dyed green. We pay the tax. We buy it at fuel stations. But for the tractors, we have farm fuel. And that's what we use. It's red. It's dyed red, so you don't confuse the two. And there are people in uniforms that will stop you along the highway and say, oh, I think I smell it. Yeah, what color's your diesel? And they'll give you a massive fine if you use the red fuel on the road instead of the green fuel. The difference is the color. The difference is the color. The difference is the color. Other than that, there's no difference. And it's red to indicate you didn't pay tax and green to indicate you did pay tax. The difference is the color. It's the same fuel. So, MFA is the most expensive fuel provider in the area. They've driven all the competitors just out of business. So now I have to bring in fuel from 85 miles away. I can buy fuel for $2.09 a gallon. Or I can buy it from 85 miles away. Or I can buy it locally from a company a couple miles down the road for $2.46.5 a gallon. That's MFA. That's why they're crossed off our list. I called them yesterday just to see how high they were. Gal answers the phone. I said, so how much is diesel? Off-road diesel. Red. She said, well, I'll have to check it. Let me look. It takes her several minutes to find the price. I said, don't you have a sheet that says how much it is? Well, it changes every day. I know that, but can't you look? Don't you have a sheet that says how much you're charging? She's told me $2.46.5 per gallon. I said, are you sure? Yeah. I said, that's really, really high. She said, I know. I said, it's about 40 cents too high. Yeah, I know. Does anybody buy fuel from you? Oh, yeah. Does anybody in their right mind buy fuel from you? Yeah, I know, we're high. So what am I going to do? I'm going to buy it from 85 miles away for $2.09. It does not pay to be loyal to any corporation anymore. Don't even consider it. Who is going to do the best for you at that moment? That's who you deal with. Who's the best for you? That's what we're doing. We've been trained. We've been trained by the most corrupt corporations in the country to be that way. We didn't used to be that way. I hate our insurance company. I absolutely hate them. I called a couple insurance companies and I asked them for quotes. And I said to the guys, early in the conversation, you play golf? Well, I used to. Okay. Do you play golf now? No. Oh, good. Because my guy, whenever I call him, he's on the golf course. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear he's working for me, not playing golf. So it's good. You passed the first part of the test. You don't play golf. Now we can talk. Rich Scheben?
Well, just addressing what you just said regarding the Scots, what big companies want to do is they want to manufacture perception. That's what the plea bargain was for the only $85 million. Basically, they allowed them to say, the courts to say it wasn't their fault so they can have plausible deniability. It's just like a gazillionaire saying, well, I got indicted, but I didn't get convicted. It's the same thing.
Okay,
we got to connect the dots here. You create a green agenda. You show dying habitat, whether it be birds or foliage or whatever, and it's global warming. So it enhances the agenda. And I do want to mention one other reason why I got rid of my website, is because, folks, my book was literally, whether it be Amazon or who knows, the powers that be, they're literally taking down my positive 5-star reviews and putting in negative reviews. I've had hundreds of people tell me they wanted to add more reviews, or add reviews in the first place, and they couldn't even get in. And if they did get in, their review went up for a few seconds, and then it got taken down. This is the fascist, totalitarian, tyrannical situation we are in from the Nazi left. Because as I've mentioned many times, they need to be authoritarian. They need to bring in socialism and communism. And think about the things that they do. CNN just called people in middle America rednecks and idiots and all this stuff. They need to control the media. They don't want citizen journalists. They want to control the police, a.k.a. Antifa. They don't want due process. They want government schools controlling children, and they're anti-homeschool. The lawyers and judges in our courts have literally sold out to justice, and this is why I talk so much about fixing voter fraud and election fraud. We need to act like citizens who expect the government to work for us and not the other way around. But when government and big corporations basically feather each other's nest and protect each other and become too big, too corrupt, overspending, incorporated, elite control, manipulators, anti-constitution, that's when the people need to step in. Vince?
Yeah. And I was thinking that it would be really, what do you do for Scott's? I mean, how do you make this right, Scott's Miracle Grow Company? Well, I think it's easy. What you do is you have a big dinner, and you invite mandatory attendance, the entire board of directors, the CEO, all of the senior vice presidents and vice presidents, and you invite them all to dinner for a meal that is comprised of birdseed soup. They're birdseed. And you tell them, you will eat this, or the crowd outside, we don't know what's going to happen. You can either eat this and we'll let you go out the back door, or you go out the front door where the crowd is. Pick one. And you say that this is, we were able to salvage a few bags of your birdseed. The one that you think is fit for wild animals to eat. Dumb animals. Unknowing. I think that's fitting. But until we get to that kind of a scenario, these companies are going to get away with murder. Murder. And it bothers me. It bothers me that we thought, Mrs. Finelli was lied to. She wouldn't hurt a fly. Well, she would if the fly pulled a gun on her. Then she'd hurt the fly. But for the most part, she's calm. She wants to help nature. She doesn't want to pollute. Nobody here does. Nobody on this farm does. We're really good stewards. And yet, we were part of the killing of birds because Scott's Miracle Grow Company lied to us. And you. We'll be right back. I don't know why we have a Sam's Club membership. Makes no sense to me. They gave it to me. They gave me a year's subscription or a year's membership because I was so angry at how they treated us when I wanted to buy a pair of glasses that I refused to accept. And so they gave us a Plus membership. I found out over the weekend that with the Plus membership, you're entitled to a free car wash per day. I looked on the website. I didn't see that. Nobody said, oh, yeah, here's one of the benefits. So you might want to check that out. So don't go to the pump and say, I want a car wash, then you have to pay for it. You just show up at the car wash by the gas pumps, and you insert your card, and you can get one free car wash per day. So they told me. I haven't tried it, but if that's true, go get your car washes. And take Sam's Club for everything that you're entitled to. And why am I saying that? Because over the weekend, Mrs. Finelli decided to buy a rotisserie chicken. I was there. It was nice and hot. It came out of the oven. Got it home, put it in the refrigerator, and we're going to have it the next day. So we carved it up. And by the bone at the bottom is bloody. Fit to be tied. So I called up the engineer at Sam's Club where we bought it in Springfield, Missouri. And the engineer said, oh, no, we heat those to 180 degrees. That's more than we need to heat them. We cook them to 180. No. I said, it's bloody. He said, well, we heat them according to the regulations. I said, it's bloody. And then he repeated the third time that, it's according to regulations. I said, it's bloody. I said, I have never, ever in my entire life of cooking turkeys and chickens have I seen a bloody turkey or a chicken. He said, well, it's cooked to regulations. I said, do these chickens come frozen? Yeah, they do. So Sam's Club gets rotisserie chickens, and they're frozen. That explains it, doesn't it? They're not cooked enough. So if you don't believe me, go to your favorite search engine, which probably should be DuckDuckGo, and DuckGo, and look up Sam's rotisserie chicken, bloody. You'll see it. You'll also see Costco. I guess they get the same chickens, bloody. And if you talk to the engineer, you know, the guy who puts them in the oven and takes them out of the oven and responds to when it goes beep or looks at the display or however they manage this, he'll tell you that no, it's okay. It's okay. It's the brine. Really? It's the brine? I'm not buying it for a second. I said, you're getting it back. He said, we'll be glad to do that. We'll give you your money back. That's what membership's all about. If you're not happy, we'll give you your money back. I don't buy meat at Sam's Club anymore. Stop buying meat because it's got gristle in it and it smells, and we cook some up for the dogs. They won't even eat it. Sam's Club is failing. It bothers me to go to Sam's Club. And every time we go, we get fewer and fewer items, hardly any. And sometimes we say, why? Why did we even come here? Everywhere you go, we're falling down. So we got an engineer who tells me it's okay that the chicken's bloody. Really? They cooked it. It's not like I bought a chicken and put it in the oven and cooked it and said it's bloody. They cooked it. America's falling down.
Vince,
Absolutely falling down.
This is why I talk about we raise our own chickens. I hunt my own turkeys, my own wild turkeys. And when you cook, you can really see the crap that they put in domestic turkeys when you cook them. The oils, the hormones, the steroids, the antibiotics, the blood, whatever it is, all the additives. When you cook a wild bird, okay, in the oven, it takes about an hour because they're lean. They're not filled with oils and drugs. If you're cooking it with stuffing, it takes about an hour and a half. For a domestic bird, it's 2.5 to 3 hours. So you can really tell the difference, not just in taste, but the chemicals that you pay for. And how do you know, folks, when you go to a store with all the wackos out there, with all the hypodermic needles out there, with all the contamination of so much, how do you know some wacko's not taking a hypodermic needle and going through the meat section and just sticking it inside the meat and going to the next meat and then the next meat and the next meat? You know, we have to start thinking about self-sufficiency and doing things on our own, because from contamination to just about everything, things are getting out of hand. And Vince, for the second hour, if it's okay with you, I'd like to go over these articles, please. Yeah. So news in a flash when we come back. Rich Scheben's going to tell you about the headlines and what it means. Bam, bam, bam. Rapid fire. News in a flash. We'll be right back. Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Rich Scheben's with us. News in a flash. Rich? That's a good title, Vince. And speaking of titles, often when you talk about stories or articles or news, you often start out prefacing something like, oh, I'm frosted, or I'm angry, or you're going to be really upset by hearing this. And that's part of the purpose of doing this, because anger is a way better emotion than despair. And the more information we have and the more corruption that we see, the more we can uncover and then have a plan of action to do something about it. First article I want to outlay real quick is breaking out of Judicial Watch. And you're not going to believe this, folks. I guarantee you're going to be red in the face and have steam coming out of your ears. Sanctuary City, Laguna Beach pays illegal alien cash settlement over DUI immigration hold. In the latest example of sanctuary madness, a U.S. city is awarding an illegal immigrant with a cash settlement because police detained him for federal authorities after being arrested for driving under the influence. The 29-year-old perpetrator, Edgar Gutierrez, eventually pled guilty to a lesser charge of reckless driving, and his pro bono attorneys from a nearby public university sued the city for violating his constitutional rights as well as statewide sanctuary law. Under the agreement, Gutierrez will receive $18,750 from taxpayers in the California coastal municipality where he lives. And now local police officers will be forced to watch a training video involving sanctuary measures for up to 2 years. Sounds like sensitivity training to me. Folks, illegal immigrants are getting paid to do crimes like driving under the influence. And how many articles have we mentioned on this show where they've killed American citizens? And now we are paying them to do crimes in America. That is really sad. And being enhanced by universities, which I think I read in an article by, I think it was Jonathan Turley, I think it's one of my articles in here, where he literally talks about, here it is right here. What a coincidence. 95-to-1 ratio on college campuses in America where professors donate to Democrats over Republicans. 95-to-1. And here's a couple of articles right here. Another American university caught funneling research to communist China, and that was the University of Kansas. University of Missouri meets Orwellian. Basically what this is that the university is now basically watching and censoring and surveilling every student on campus to see where they go under the guise of attendance in class. Can't make this stuff up, folks. Next article. French intellectual Renaud Camus gets 2 months in prison for criticizing Muslim invasion of Europe. Next article. Elizabeth Warren's son-in-law produced a film funded by the Iranian government. Next article. Obama solar company busted for fraud, massive Ponzi scheme. Everything's a massive Ponzi scheme, folks. It's phony benevolence. It's millionaires mostly being funded or funding the Democrat Party, wanting to pass laws so they say they can pay more taxes, so they get more recognition, more pity, more pats on the head. Well, I got some advice for you gazillionaires. You can still pay extra taxes. You can do it behind the scene. You don't have to be phony about it. While you're taking away good jobs through artificial intelligence, automation, robotics, and taking companies overseas and giving jobs an opportunity only based on what group you're in. And the little people we can't sue because big corporations and big government are protecting each other. So the little guy, again, has no protection under the rule of law, while we basically foment protecting the addictions, power, and control to the very super wealthy. Next article. Virginia bill is to eliminate the Electoral College. See, this is against the law. It's against the Bill of Rights. It's against our Constitution. And Virginians, you need to be aware of this. Next article. Pencil neck Schiff just threatened not to accept 2020 results if Trump wins. Are you hearing this, folks? You don't get this from the mainstream media because the mainstream media are too busy at CNN protecting the establishment and telling middle America that they're dumb, illiterate rednecks. Next article. Hundreds of non-U.S. citizens accidentally registered to vote in Illinois. And by the way, what a coincidence. The 1% of Illinois' pensions in government workers are millionaires. All the money is being funneled to the pensions, benefits, and paychecks of government workers in Illinois. Next article. Whistleblower was overheard inside White House discussing how to remove Trump. Imagine my shock. Next article. Schiff, also known as Pencil Neck, threatens senators with prison time. Next article. Biden claims DACA illegal aliens are more American than most Americans. Folks, these are all published articles in the public domain. I am not making up any of this. Next article. Joe Biden's younger brother, James, got $1.5 billion in government contracts despite zero experience. So hard work, effort, proven results, and qualifications don't matter when it comes to what nepotism group you come from, does it? Next article. ABC's Stephanopoulos makes a throat-slitting gesture to cut away from a Trump lawyer because they don't like what he's saying. Everything that comes from the mainstream media is either lies, including gaslighting, propaganda, false flags, and hoaxes. Everything. Next article. NPR exposed for taking $100,000 in bribes. Why are we paying for this crap? Next article. Bottled water company admits dumping deadly arsenic into California's ecosystem and nobody goes to jail. Where are all these earth firsters? Where are the greeners? Where are the climate change? When you have big corporations getting away with murder, where are the people who are talking about global warming and climate change and saving the earth? Oh, I know. They're bought and paid for. Next article. Prince Andrew providing zero cooperation in the Jeffrey Epstein probe. There is no rule of law. It's rule of what group you come in. It's rule of how much money you have. It's rule of what gender, what skin pigmentation, what religion, what sexual orientation you have in order to distract and divide the American people so we continue to infight and create chaos amongst each other. Next article. Mayor, I think his name is Bill Mayer, right? He says the media was disappointed because civil war didn't break out at the Virginia gun rally. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and others predicted up to 65 million deaths via the coronavirus in their simulation ran 3 months ago. You know, the virus that they say was started by snakes, bats, and badgers and all this other crap. And, you know, you got to ask yourself, the timing of this virus, when Hong Kong was rallying for freedom, and now basically this started in Hong Kong, 44,000 already infected in Wuhan. And this virus, how come the virus has patents on this disease? Supposedly by Bill Gates, and apparently has vaccines or antidotes for the cure in the background for profit. We have to ask all these questions, folks. Next article. Promises sanctuary city for drunk driving illegals. Joe Biden said this. Let me repeat this. Joe Biden promises sanctuary for drunk driving illegals. This is America, folks. Next article. The warden who was in charge of the Jeffrey Epstein who supposedly died in a cell. We all know who Jeffrey Epstein is. Gets promoted to a cushy club-fed job. No quid pro quo there. No bribery there. Imagine my shock. Next article. Between 500,000 and 1 million non-citizens may get voting rights in New York City. And next article. Hillary Clinton complains not enough Democrats in the news media. Everything they say, go 180 degrees and do the opposite. Next article. Regarding Stephanie Grissom, the left called her you effing C-word. This show is on AM and FM radio. I can't read the article. And inundated with sexist threats. It has nothing to do with what it's about creating division. They're all divide and conquer strategies. The left is the most racist, sexist, bigoted, intolerant, people in the world. We have to realize that this is a tool. This is a tool to sway public opinion and hold on to the narratives. Why do you think they call it? I'm blue in the face talking about this. Why do you think they call it identity politics? Why do you think they degrade and disrespect all these people and have a lower standard of rules, laws, and accountability based on what group you're in? Why do they insult the work ethic, ability, and intelligence of all people in groups? Because they want to make us submissive. They want to break your will. That's how you destroy mediocrity, is through or America, by rewarding mediocrity and turning us into the law of diminishing returns. And I have a new article. It just came out yesterday. False rape nightmare at Columbia. Basically, a woman took this man on a rooftop. She begged him for sex. I read the whole transcript. He had pictures, he had video, and he had 30 minutes of audio. The woman wanted sex, and she was begging him for sex, and then accused him of sexual assault. And after the break, folks, I will finish up this article.
Wow, it's kind of interesting, class. So I did a search while Rich was speaking. I wanted to give you an update. I wanted to, when he said, Vincent, meaning my turn, I was going to ask the question, got ammo? And I was going to tell you about shotgun prices, self-defense shotgun prices. So I did a search, and the minute I did that, bam, I was knocked off the connection. So here I am on the telephone. It's either that or it's something you said, Rich. So this is unbelievable. I am convinced they do not want this out. Whatever we do, they don't want it out. And I can't connect. Internet's down. Internet's down here. Again. So I got to call. I'm going to give you that number, class. If it happens to you and you have CenturyLink, I'm going to give you the secret number. It took me 15 years to find this number, so I'm going to call them again today. $50. I want $50 every time they do it, and eventually they get sick of it. 866-270-7498. 866-270-7498. That is the loyalty department number for CenturyLink, the worst telecommunications provider in the universe. Rich Scheben?
Yeah. Well, we've listened to some of our tapes here and there, and I've told you many times where when you mention certain names or certain activities or certain behaviors or certain corruption, they try, even on GCNlive.com, they have successfully distorted the audio. This is what they do. This is why
I don't think it's GCN. I really don't believe it.
No. I'm not saying it's GCN. I'm saying from an outside hacking. Okay. From I said even on GCNlive.com. I agree it's not GCNlive.com. However, the powers that be have enough technocracy to basically slow down the news and information that we give to the public. So let me go back to this article, Vince, because these 2 hours go so fast, if you don't mind. So, folks, basically I was talking about this article from Columbia University where this man had a audio recording which he taped, plus video, plus pictures, where she was begging him for sex, and there was a total of 29 admissions, and he told her repeatedly, because she was too drunk, or he felt she was too drunk, that he did not want to have sex with her, and she said she wanted rough sex. She pulled his pants down and tried to force her mouth on his penis. That's his words. That's a quote. And when he tried to leave, she would cry. And if he declined to have sex with her, she said he thought she was gross. This is a quote. When he tried to leave again, she wouldn't let him. So throughout the tape, he declined to have sex with her, even though she begged for it. After he was finally able to leave, she allegedly told her roommate that Ben, apparently that's his name, Ben Feebleman, tried to have sex with him. She also told this to her boyfriend, who questioned her level of intoxication. The next morning, she told Columbia University that Feebleman sexually assaulted her. Anything to hold the narrative, folks. So basically, based on a 30-minute recording, Columbia expelled him, despite proving his side with a 30-minute recording. You can't make this stuff up, folks. And details don't matter. It all depends on what group you're in. So Fiebelman filed a $25 million lawsuit against Columbia University in New York federal court for expulsion and gender discrimination under Title IX. Well, you know what? She isn't even publicly known. She's known as Jane Doe to protect herself. It's the same thing, folks, with this Blasey Ford Kavanaugh gang rapist. Brett Kavanaugh will forever be known as a gang rapist. And every woman but Blasey Ford has admitted they lied. And this was all done by the establishment to use women to eliminate due process and remanufacture a new precedent by eliminating due process. Folks, I got a few more articles after the break. We have to start stepping up because, like Vince says, we're not just falling. We're so corrupt we don't even have rule of law in America any longer. We'll be right back.
Reputable website on the internet says that with Virginia Democrats taking over all branches of state government, that there's a firearms store in the Commonwealth of Virginia that says that gun sales, magazine sales, ammunition sales up 200%, and customers are paying cash. Take heed. Okay? Gun sales are up, ammo sales are up, magazine sales are up. I'm talking about gun magazines. Up 200%. And that's a reputable, believable site. We're just back on the internet, so I was able to do this quick search. For $237.86, you go to cheaperthandirt.com, cheaperthandirt.com, and you can buy a shotgun, $237.86. Mossberg Maverick. It's a field security combo. It's a 12-gauge pump action shotgun with an 18.5-inch barrel and a 28-inch barrel. 2 barrels. It will chamber 3-inch rounds. 5 rounds in synthetic stock, $237. So it's a hunting shotgun and it's a self-defense shotgun. You can change all perfectly legal, brand new. For about $237.86. Next item. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you shut down for a few seconds.
One last. Yeah, how about that? So, and 22 long rifle. You can buy them on sale right now for about $2 a box for 50 rounds. The ones you really want for target shooting and real accuracy would be 40-grain lead round nose. 40-grain lead round nose, standard velocity. But the cheaper ones are the high velocity, and you can use them in a Ruger 1022 semi-automatic. You're going to need that, class. You're going to need 22s because you're going to want to shoot small things. I know you are. And I really wish I could tell you what I mean, but I can't. But I suggest you get some 20.
Vincent, are you there? Hello? Hello? Hey, can you guys hear me? Okay, super. Somebody is blocking my phone. So anyway, I'm going to go back to this article, Vince, to finish it up. This guy Fiebelman, he filed a lawsuit, but he's waiting for former President Obama-appointed Judge Valerie Caproni to rule on the university's motion to partially dismiss the lawsuit. So this guy's probably going to get the chair. You know, it's really funny when you look at the replies on this article. It's like, she should go to prison. How do men, what do men do regarding sex? Do they have to take videos of adult mutual consensual sex? Do they have to hire call girls to prove adult mutual consensual sex? This is the arena we are in. See, folks, when you feel entitled to cry wolf and to always play the victim group status card and then lower the bars of standards and expectations for getting a job or accusations against the rule of law, doesn't matter. You are destroying America from within. This is why the whole Blasey Ford thing was to create a precedent to eliminate due process. Oh, all women should be believed. But women are waking up because if you look at the Women's March that was recent, it was the lowest turnout in probably forever because they've realized that women are being played, they're being duped, they're being used as pawns. We all have to stop being hyphenated Americans. And by the way, a little sidebar here. Go to Deanna, D-E-A-N-N-A, for Congress.com. She is running against Nancy Pelosi in California, and sounds like she has a lot of common sense. Deanna for Congress.com, D-E-A-N-N-A for Congress.com. All right, I'm going to mention a few more articles here, and Vince, I'm not going to... Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm back. I just want to make a quick comment. So
Sure.
when I did the search to give the prices for shotguns, I got knocked off the internet, and that's why you lost me. And I called back in on the phone, and then I was able to get back on. And then when I started giving the information about the shotguns and the ammo, I got knocked off again.
Yep, I got knocked off too. And the engineer Brad or whoever's working in Minnesota, and thank you for that. He said he could hear me in my phone. I could feel it. I could hear it going in and out. And they don't want this information out. They do not want us waking up the public.
Guys, let me just say, let me give you a little heads up on how this works. So I'm in Missouri, and I connect via the internet to Minnesota, to GCN. And Rich is in Montana, and he's connecting via telephone line, landline, to Minnesota. So it's not like we're on a conference call. There are two separate paths to get this broadcast out to you, and we're both interrupted. So I just want to let you know. If you don't think there's something wrong, there it is.
Absolutely.
Okay, Rich, back to you. I'm just going to kind of stand by, okay?
Yeah, it's just like a week or two ago when we were talking about I was talking about financial stuff. And I mentioned Maxine Waters, who chairs the House and Financial Services Committee, didn't know that the government nationalized student loans 10 years ago. And I said things like, how is this possible? The committee chairs the banks. And when I went in to listen to that, the powers that be basically took out audibly Maxine Waters' name because they want to control the narrative. They want to manufacture perception, pity, guilt, and ideology. Their whole job is to sway public opinion and to make you submissive to break your will. And they're doing it through the rewarding of mediocrity and lack of common sense and logic. Let me mention a few more articles real quick here. Trans freak versus biologist. Men can get periods. I'm not making this stuff up, folks. I promise you, every one of these articles are published in the public domain. Next article. Turkey moves toward passage of controversial marry your rapist law. So if a man rapes a young girl underage, he won't be convicted if he marries her. You cannot make this stuff up. And of course, CNN, we talked about how they called us idiots and rednecks, and they take things out of context, they gaslight us. Here's an article that a sports analyst was, when Kobe Bryant died, had the gall to talk about his sexual assault allegations before his body was even cold. Folks, we have to start telling the truth. We have to have the same rules, laws, and accountability for everybody. We have to go back to common sense. We've gotten to the point that we're way beyond Orwellian. We're way beyond Twilight Zone. We are in a mafia, totalitarian, tyrannical situation here in America. And we're losing control of our own destiny. And this is, I think, I'm hoping that Barr and Durham are not bought and paid for. I'm hoping they declassify for the people the Uranium One and Clinton Foundation, the Pfizer warrants, the geoengineering and weather modification tools used against the people, all documents related to Barack Obama and billions of cash that went to Iran, about 9/11, declassify anything related to alternative energies for we, the people. Folks, the people are tired of talk. We want arrests. We want to get our country back. The new logo for the Democrat Party should be a branded swastika on a donkey's ass. All right, here's one article, and we have so little time left. I'm gonna pass on the rest of the articles, Vince. Living near major roads increases, this is a study, risk of dementia and Alzheimer's and more. So the heavy metals coming from automobiles and such are great participants to neurological disorders. And this is one of the reasons we talk about moving to the country, getting a little acreage, living off the land, and thinking outside the box. Because we're losing ground, folks. We're losing ground big time. And we have proven millions of times on this show how the money gets funded by the elite and funneled from the bottom 93% to the aristocracy. And we've given so many examples of this. You know, we have a worldwide problem of debt, which basically correlates to credit, which correlates to risk, which correlates to interest rates, which correlates to collapse. At the same time, we're getting increased defaults and delinquencies and bankruptcies. And, you know, the dollar's strong because of the demand worldwide, because people want liquidity and they want to put their money somewhere where it's going to be the last house standing. Got to remember, we have more money, U.S. dollars abroad, than domestically. It's that clean, dirty shirt, prettiest house analogy that you've heard me mention many times. But the problem is the cost shifting is being paid for by the little people, the bottom 93%. Insurance, healthcare, banking, all government pensions, government benefits, government salaries. Real nominal wages have been stagnant, despite what you hear. And we're heading towards a plutocracy where the central banks are going to buy and own everything: stocks, bonds, equities, real estate, big corporations, big government. And I don't know what else to do besides live rural and be as self-sufficient as you can. I don't know what to do because our system is so corrupt. No due process, no rule of law. I tried to hire 30 attorneys, and they told me I didn't have enough group self-pity points. That's not America. We have more attorneys in this country than the whole frickin' world put together. And they're telling who has the ability to have protection rights and restitution on the rule of law. We're not in America anymore, folks. We have the aristocracy, the globalists who do not consider themselves America, doing everything possible to distract, dumb down, and especially divide the American people with a special tiered system of rules, laws, and accountability based on what victim group or protectionist group status you have. And some of you should be insulted by that strategy. Boy, these segments go quick. Folks, we will be back right after this break, maybe, if they decide to keep us on the air. Me and Vince Minnelli will be right back. Thank you for listening.
Well, it looks like the internet's back, for now. So, class, you can look up 22 long rifles, whatever ammo you want, on the internet, and you can buy it in the mail. and it will be a little cheaper than if you buy it in person, but there will be a record. There will be a record of you buying that ammunition. So my recommendation, well, no, I'm not going to even do that. If you want ammo, you ought to get it soon. Soon. But, like, today. What are you waiting for? If you think that with the coronavirus, as it seems to be spreading at an exponential rate, do you think the food stores are going to have plenty of food, or do you think people are going to show up and buy whatever they can before you get there? If you look at the offerings at Aldi, for example, as a barometer, you'll find that the offerings are down. You'll find that the stock is down. They don't have as much in stock as they used to. Why? So if a person wanted to buy 4 cases of spaghetti, they would wipe them out. 4 cases. If you wanted to buy 4 cases of spaghetti sauce, you'd wipe them out. I'm not exaggerating. I've seen it over and over for the last few months. I suggest you get what you need now. Rich Scheben?
Well, absolutely. I mean, look at all these articles that we read. Obviously, the powers that be does not want. What do you call it? Fast news, Vince? What do you call it? My little segment, and I talk about these articles.
I called it News in a Flash.
And I think that's a great title. And the powers that be obviously do not want us educating the people on corruption. I mean, just like this coronavirus, do you really think snakes, bats, badgers, and rats started the coronavirus? No, it's obviously started in a laboratory. How else do you get patents on diseases and vaccines for profit? Think about that.
Let's talk about something slightly different, well, but tangentially connected. I'm looking at a story. FCC data shows just how much pirate enforcement has stepped up in recent years. Pirate meaning pirate radio. So, for example, a person could take the feed from the internet. You could just go to gcnlive.com, take that out of your computer as an output, and plug it right into a transmitter and be on the air on FM or AM. You can have your own little radio station. It's called pirate radio. Well, the FCC is now jumping on pirate radio stations. I have one. I have one. Let me say it a different way. I have a pirate radio. It's actually a college radio transmitter. I have not hooked it up. But when things get worse, I think I'm going to do that. So what I'm saying is the FCC is now beating up little people who have very, very, very low power transmitters on a frequency that is unused in their area, AM and FM. Because no one's going to try to compete with a 50,000 watt station, with a 1 watt station. Now, a lot of these pirate radios, because they're low power, are legal, absolutely legal, but they call them pirate radio. So there are a number of people who have these little transmitters. They've bought them with their own money. They don't advertise. They don't use them commercially. They just, like, for example, if I want to be in my tractor and listen to gcnlive.com, if I set my transmitter up, I could just turn on my FM receiver in my tractor and listen. And, some of the neighbors could pick it up as well. It's not going to go 20 miles down the road. It might go a mile. It might. But the FCC is jumping on people who are doing this. Why is that? Do you think that they're playing music? I don't think so. I think it's because it's the news that they don't want you to hear. So I just wanted to mention that. FCC is ramping up, beating up little tiny specks of radio stations. Actually, just transmitters.
They do not want us to show that the emperor has no clothes because people are waking up exponentially, financially, economically, socially, politically. The American people are tired of political correctness. They are demanding truth because we're losing ground. When you have 70% of Americans that don't have $1,000 in savings, people are getting pissed off. And when they have no rights under the rule of law and they can't even take big government or big corporations to court because they're protecting one another, people are getting pissed off. Because Donald
Rich,
Trump inherited
Rich,
the
you're being
situation. Go ahead, Vince.
You're being stepped on. You're being stepped on. I'm looking at the red bars across my screen. Signal's not going out very well. Can you hear me okay or not?
I can hear you, but I
No?
It's pretty obvious that they're squelching our audio.
Yeah. So appreciate it, all you guys involved in making this broadcast difficult. Because the sooner you take us out, the sooner I get back to farming. Yeah. Unbelievable. I want to thank our engineers at GCN. I want to thank Jason and Nathan for helping us today. It's a little difficult. Because now we have a 2-second delay. 2 seconds between us and Minnesota. That's pretty rare. That's an enormous delay. Class, thanks so much for being with us. Get your ammo.